Now, the second day of the Tory party conference gets underway in Manchester. But the unrest in the ranks continues to make headlines over ministers' policies.
The Chancellor and Rishi Sunak are fighting off an internal mutiny from Tory members over whether taxes, yes, taxes, can be reduced before the next election. Deputy Chairman of the Tory party, Matt Vickers, joins us live from conference in Manchester. Now, Matt, thank you for making it talk today, my friend. I'm going to start, as our viewers and listeners would expect me to start. We've conducted some TalkTV exclusive punters polls. Thank you to one poll. We asked, and this, Matt Vickers, is for you and your party, do you trust the Tories with the economy? After 13 years, you'll be devastated to know that 59% of people, Matt Vickers, say they don't. How are you going to change that perception, my friend?
I think, well, do you know what? We've got a Prime Minister in place who's been there about a year, got a croaky voice this morning, Jeremy. I think, no, we've got a Prime Minister in place, he's been there a year, he set some priorities out. He said he was going to halve inflation. We're well on the way, we're ahead of the curve on that. He's doing a good job on that front. We said that we were going to deliver growth. Actually, we're growing faster than other countries in the EU or those other G7 countries. We're making great progress on that front, but there's more to do. And actually, inflation is a big deal. It's a big deal for people's pockets. It's a big deal for people who are trying to make ends meet. And we're delivering on that, and we've got to get on with it. It's took some tough choices and tough decisions, but we are getting there. I think, actually, people are, you know, we're at a conference now where it's a conference is a great opportunity. You should get yourself here. It's a great opportunity to grill ministers, to speak to secretaries of state, to buy some Kia Starmer flip-flops. Fantastic get-together here. Later on, we're going to hear from the Chancellor about what those plans are to take this country forward and to make sure our economy is in the best possible shape.
Matt, you just said there that the UK has been one of the fastest-growing economies in Europe and the fastest-growing since 2010, I believe. But forecasts for 2024 show that the UK will have the slowest-growing economy in Europe. What's your response to that?
So we have got, you know what, I know people don't like the positives, but we have got the fastest-growing economy
But
in
we're projected
Europe.
to have the worst economy by 2024.
I remember, actually, we heard the forecast before. In recent times, we've had revised forecasts. We've had our inflation forecasts. They've reduced, well, more positive than expected. On growth, we're more positive than expected. We were at one point predicted to go into recession. We did not. Every time we've seen these forecasts, they've been wrong. Our economy has actually bounced back. We're in much better shape than we were before the pandemic, unlike many countries across the world. It's quite a positive story on that front, but there's more to do.
Matt, conference, as you said, is a time for, people shine a light on policies and individuals. I mean, it isn't a lie to say that over the weekend there seemed to be, about 7 different factions in the Tory party. Everybody seems to be fighting against each other. Today, Jeremy Hunt is going to talk about getting the work shy, back to work, something I support. But here's what I want to put to him and you separately. Imagine I live in Redcar. Imagine I voted last time, but I'm disillusioned because all I hear is my politicians in London going, when we get inflation to 3%, everything's going to be fine. I want a tax cut now, Matt Vickers, because I ain't got nish dosh in my pocket. I want to know why Jeremy Hunt and your party doesn't listen to the people on the streets of Britain and make the pound in their pocket worth more. Because that, my friend, is the challenge, is it not?
It is. I think that is the challenge. But actually, do you know what? You've hit some more good news. Record levels of employment, really positive news. I know the newspapers don't like recording the positive stuff or highlighting any positive news, but employment levels...
That's not true.
Really,
that's not fair on the great press of the UK.
Well, I think most people are probably equally cynical as I am, but actually, we don't talk about the positives. We have got positive news on employment. We have got positive news on inflation. We've got positive news on growth. Very good story. And today, he'd be revealing more good news, I'm hoping. Where we're going, positive stuff to be talked about. And when it comes to tax cuts, when it comes to putting money in people's pockets, the best thing that we can do is what we've been doing for the last few months of getting inflation down that makes the pennies that are in your pocket worth more. And we've got a good news story on that front.
But it's not a good, Matt, it's not a good news story when a Cabinet colleague, the Levelling Up Secretary, Michael Gove, and I quote, over the weekend we were talking about that, says, I think we should have tax cuts. That's what we're talking about. You can dress it up. The truth is the Tory party, the majority of grassroots, Nick, you'd agree with me, want tax cuts, including Cabinet ministers.
I think, you know what, if you talk to the Conservative Party, we all want tax cuts. That's something we want to deliver. But we're going to do it in a responsible manner. We're going to do it in a manner that means getting inflation down, that means getting the economy in a state where we can afford tax cuts. In the last few years, we've seen the pandemic, huge impact on our economy, huge challenge for countries across the globe. We've dealt with that. We're getting on with business. We're getting people jobs. We're getting growth down. But actually, there'll be a choice for people at the next election between what Rishi's delivering this year. He's set his 5 priorities out. He's delivering on them. And the £90 billion of unfunded spending commitments that Keir Starmer's made. Mr. Flip-Flop's out there committing to all sorts of spending things.
Fair enough,
we're being responsible. We're making the long-term decisions to put this country on the footing that it needs to move forwards.
Matt, you mentioned flip-flops there. Greg Hans, your own party chairman, was addressing the conference yesterday and he showed activists Sir Keir Starmer flip-flops. I remember you got me a pair of those ones.
Yeah, you like them.
Is it not Rishi Sunak who's actually been the one flip-flopping on net zero, and now he can't even make up his mind about HS2 when he's in Manchester for a Tory party conference?
I don't think that's the case at all. And for the record, those Keir Starmer flip-flops are available at our Conservative Party shop at a cost of just $16.99. You can get them online. But actually, in real terms, when we talk about Rishi and when we talk particularly about HS2, HS2 is the same as net zero. People want a pragmatic approach. In terms of net zero, we are delivering net zero. We're committed to delivering net zero, but we're doing it in a sensible, pragmatic way that bears consideration of the money that people have in their pockets and the bills that people have to pick up for doing so.
Why
we're doing
can't you give
sensible
us
things. We're still driving. We're still driving our carbon emissions.
Matt, I want a straight answer from you, as I'd love a straight answer from Rishi Sunak, as I'm sure the majority of the country would. HS2, yes or no?
Do you know what I think people at home want with HS2? I think people know
want an answer,
that it's
Matt,
a big
to be
spending.
honest.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what the people at home want. What I think they want.
Oh, go on,
you
speak on their behalf. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think when I speak to people out there, HS2, they know it's a very big, expensive piece of kit, and they want to know that the government is looking at every item of expenditure therein, judging the value for money, and if we can do something better with that money, then that's what they want us to do, and that's what the government's doing. So it's reviewing everything it does. It's reviewing what it's doing on HS2. It's looking at whether it's going to deliver real value for money or whether that value for money can be better delivered through Northern Powerhouse Rail or similar. There's not been a decision on that, but we're going to look at it properly, make informed decisions. One of the problems with politics these days is that people are really for something or really against it. Actually, the sensible answer is to look at what it costs, look at what it's delivering for people, and that's what we're doing on net zero. We know that our country is only responsible for 1% of global emissions. We're ahead of the pack. We're decarbonising faster than any other country in the globe. But we're doing it in a measured way. We're going to look at what the consequences are, look at what the costs are, and look at what the benefits are, and make a fair, rounded decision.
Matt,
and I'm sure you'll hear more from it.
Nick would know this. Most people watching this would know. I'm probably further right than this lady. But here's my frustration. This is what I think that politicians have to grasp right now. You're very erudite. You're very positive. I get that. But from an outsider's point of view, I suspect the majority of people in this country would look at what's happened in the last few years, not the last 13 years, the last few years, and would say to themselves, am I being cynical to suggest that suddenly helping motorists, making a decision on stalling HS2, doing this in the NHS, doing this, it seems to be, and this is where politicians, I think, have so much to answer for. It all seems to be happening at once, and the cynics amongst us will go, it's about the election. One would beg to ask only this. All of this foresight, all of this planning, all of these decisions that are taken for our benefit, why weren't they taken 5 years ago, 10 years ago, Matt? And I'm a Tory at heart. I'm frustrated because I believe that your party and your government is throwing away a golden opportunity that Boris Johnson got in 2019. And I fear that Mr. Flip-Flop will get into 10 Downing Street. And you're right. It's very good to say it's all going to be marvellous. Where's the money, Starmer? But the Tory party needs to look in the mirror and understand that people are cynical.
I think, do you know what? You've got a Prime Minister who's been in office less than a year, who's actually delivering what he said he would. He said he would halve inflation. He said he would get growth back into our economy. He said he would get the waiting list down.
How is he doing on that?
Do you know what? You go to compare our figures with the rest of Europe. We're down 20%. And where we've been able to do what we wanted to do and return people, like the Albania deal, people are arriving in this country and they know they're going straight back. There are 90% less Albanians coming to this country illegally than there were. And when we get the new Rwanda deal across the line and people know that when they get in those boats, they're wasting the time because they're going home, they will stop coming. We've had Keir Starmer doing everything he possibly can to prevent that. We've had lefty lawyers getting in the way. They've done everything. We've been through the courts and we're more or less through the courts now. It's going to start happening. And when people come to this country, and realise that they're going to be held and returned, they will stop getting in those boats. They will stop paying those evil people smugglers who are profiteering from people's peril. And do you know what? He's getting on with delivering it. He's had a year, and I think we're moving in the right direction. There's plenty more to do, but we are getting there.
Well, Matt Vickers, thank you so much. Go and get yourself a Strepsil.